All right. So man, I just finished a marathon. I've been doing a lot of work the last couple of days, and so I've been marathon listening to Ready Player One audiobook read by Will Wheaton. Wheaton? Why are you saying the H like that? Wheaton. Will Wheaton. Anyway, I read this book a couple of years ago when I went on, actually, the only vacation I've ever been on in my whole life. And I read it on a beach in Mexico. And so that certainly adds to the ambiance, but I don't read a lot of fiction in my life, mainly because I had to read so much in grad school and I read so much for work on a daily basis that my my level for actual physical reading has gone down. And, and I usually read nonfiction, economics, you know, Federalist Papers, things like that. But Ready Player One is by far my favorite single piece of work of fiction that I've ever read. And I've talked to some friends who are like, "Yeah, well, there are parts of it that that I don't like." Here's why I say that from my personal perspective. Ready Player One has makes me imagine. So I just listened to it's like 15 hours. Just listened to it over 2.5, 3 days. And just like when I was reading it when I was in Mexico, because that time it was relaxed, is in my mind as I'm truly seeing like pictographic representations of what I think the scene is being described, and along with all the nerdy pop culture references, even though I wasn't technically born in the 80s, I'm a 1990s, 1990 maybe. Um, I just really enjoy the ride that it takes me on mentally. Like it really, Ready Player One really envelops me and engages me start to finish in the entirety of the book. And I just wanted to make a public record of how much I absolutely freaking love Ready Player One. And I really liked Will Wheaton reading it. It's actually one of the first audiobooks I've listened to in years at regular speed. I usually read them at least two and a half times speed. And and I really enjoyed it start to finish. So I say that because my roommate recently bought Ready Player Two, and that's next up on the agenda. And I wanted to really experience it. I know it's received some negative reactions, but I'm really going into it with an open mind. I do have to say I am saddened that he wrote another book, Ernest Cline wrote another book, just because sometimes you know, the Animaniacs just had in their relaunch, just had a criticism about that, of how, things are always redone. And it's kind of how I feel. Like an analogy for me is like how I felt about Dexter. Like I thought the first season of Dexter is like my favorite single season of television ever. But I mean, it got so bad I couldn't finish watching Dexter, and I'm a huge completist when it comes to those type of things. And so, I mean, that's always the faux pas of having a second one is, the sequels are almost never better unless it's Empire Strikes Back. And so I don't want to like fall into that trope. I like to really give sequels, because there are things that I like the second one of, like the second Bill and Ted, the second Wayne's World. I like both of those better than the firsts, and I really like the first. I just really like them both. And so, I'm really hopeful. But even, I do have to say, I absolutely fucking hated the movie. I hated it. I hated the movie start to finish. I felt like it did a huge disservice to what the book was, and I'm never the one to be like, "Oh, the book's always better." You know what I have to do? I have to read the fucking book. No, it's not that. Is the book, the story they told is a different story in the movie. I mean, it's kind of, to the level of like I Am Legend, right? Like it really turns out to be a different story, and a lot of key points and the character names are the same, and they really tried to make it like it. But when they from the first, okay, I don't want to give any spoilers to anyone who hasn't read the book, but from the first kind of trial and tribulation that they go through in the book, it's just drastically different and doesn't make a lot of sense. And I just could not suspend my disbelief with how enthralled I was by the actual story of the book. I wish they just told that story. I wish that Netflix should hire me to star in a Netflix original series 10-parter, Ready Player One. We'll do the whole thing. We'll do the beginning part with the education. I think it made me look younger, right? No, that's what I'd love to see. I'd love to see Ready Player One done. I mean, just try to be done shot for shot on what the actual book was. I think it's actually doable in that type of format. And again, not that I don't like Steven Spielberg's work, I just really loathed the movie because of the missed points that they had, both deviating from the actual plot and then just the missed points that they had. But I loved the Easter eggs. I loved the constant references and callbacks and the setups. I feel like it's complete. Like the story is really well told, start to finish. So anyway, just wanted to make a record of how much I like Ready Player One, so I can come back in the future. And if I just absolutely hate Ready Player Two, I'll let everybody know. I won't give anything away. I think everyone should. It deserves the benefit of the doubt. I know people are bashing it because of kind of a political stance, but I mean, there's huge political stances and a wide berth given in the first book, and so I'm interested to see how it goes in the second book. So anyway, Ready Player One of my favorites, absolute favorite work of fiction, single book. I don't read a lot of fiction, but it's one that really engaged me start to finish. So if you haven't read it, you should pick up a copy. I'll let you guys know what I think about Ready Player Two.